Hey everybody, it's Mr. Riot. I'm going to call some chaos with this Darkface stride build I got. I'm going to show y'all what it is. It's a more updated and a more complete version of what I recently shown. So here we go. This is my starter. Pretty much everything that's GB related. I'm not going to say so, but you should see it right there. It's clear as day. But you put it in the soul, stun install. A grade 2. That's pretty much the target for this card. Stun install, meaning your opponent can't stand or intercept with that grade 2. You won't necessarily always be using that effect, but for those rush turns, comes real handy for when you have a cocktail on the field. So, and now my zeros. My zeros never really changed with 12 crit and 4 heal. That's pretty much it about that. You draw a lot on its own, the deck anyway, and it forces your opponent to retire their own rear guards and such. My ones, running 3 Machining Mosquito to build up soul, mainly for Darkface. Running 3 Limit Break Enablers, that early game break ride over break ride rush, and to stunt my opponent's field, keep them at bay. 4 Stride Fodder, and also to look for Darkface should I need a extra booster for one of my rear guards. 4 Countercharge PGs, because we have no other means of countercharging and unflipping our damage. So yeah, my 2s. Running 3 Machining Armor Beetle. Why also build soul? Go ahead and stun a unit when you do so, when you call or ride this card. If it's a second ride, then it's basically up to you whether you want to push that starter into your soul. I'd wait. But anyway, 4 Heat Elemental Bois. Bois helps search out the break ride, so I run 4 of these just so I can have that extra, again, grade 2 rush of, if they let this hit, that means I get to freely search out Cyclo-Darkface, by retiring this. Search it out, show it to my opponent, put it in my hand. Then running for a Cocktail. Cocktail pretty much stops and stuns and stalls grade 2s. And not only that, should those grade 2s remain on the field at the end of your opponent's turn at rest, you draw a card. So that will again cause force retires and force calls to the field. Very good for when you have GB2 available. I call it taint because it's like one of the you pretty much you're forcing your opponent to not, like I said, retire their own stuff, but you're gaining advantage off of them retiring half the call from hand. Because they don't want you to again get card advantage. So it's almost like their rear guards are working for you. And so my 3s, 4 Unrivaled Blade Rogue Cyclo-Darkface. The break ride amongst all break rides, pretty much the best card, one of the best cards anyway. Break ride over this, gain 10,000, rest and stun your opponent's entire field. The only way for them to restand anything is to re-ride the Vanguard, retire and call, or get a stand trigger to go off somewhere. But even then, it's going to be almost game if they can't re-ride because of the stun beetle. Anyway, and of course I should also add on that it gets a +2 if everything's rested on your opponent's side of the field, so it can get those cross rides by itself. Intimidating Mutant Darkface is pretty much the ultimate control card. So should your opponent call something to rear, you Soul Blast 2 and rest that unit. So almost anything can be stopped. All you got to do is make sure that your hand is right and your soul is right. With like I was saying, with 3 Armor Beetles, there's 3 cards. With 3 Machining Mosquitoes, there's 3 cards. Break ride over break ride. Assuming this is a perfect world, there's 4. So, not to mention, should you run the machining Slater card and have a machine? If you, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Should you not want to ride Cyclo-Tooth or have Cyclo-Tooth, I would suggest running strictly machining and having Darkface as a backup. Maybe running 2, just so you can have a better chance of getting machining grade 3, and then using machine to destroy to stun it, stun the vanguard and a rear guard. It's almost not as good, but it's almost the same, because this is just stunning the entire field, while Machine Destroyer stuns the vanguard and a rear guard. And again, they're still having to re-ride and recall things. So it's if you wanted to do that in the place of machining Mosquito, I would suggest machining Slater. When you boost a machining vanguard and the vanguard is attacking another vanguard, Soul Charge 2. That way, if you are running the Legion, one of the Legions, it really doesn't matter. There's Soul Charge 2, then you rewrite a 3, there's 2 more, and rinse and repeat, and you can really build up a lot of soul that way. If that works out for you, let me know how it goes in the comment section. Back to Darkface. Again, should your opponent call anything to rear, Soul Blast to arrest it. That's anything to rear, minus the resist units. And Counter Blast 1, should you stride over this card, pay the cost, rest, and stun 2 units, and at the end of the opponent's turn, if they're still at rest and on the field, draw 2 cards, or 1 card if they got rid of 1. But still draw advantage, and your opponent has to play from hand. My strats: running 1 Blizzard to get that early game GB2 skill, just in case if I'm not guaranteed another stride. Running 3 Pair Spear to get that extra card in hand should my opponent's field be at rest and there's 3 or more at rest. I draw a card and this card gets +5. Really good for, again, building hands. So if you're running draw triggers, you'll get some massive hand advantage. If you're running the stand trigger, that it's like Earth Dreamer or something like that, and you got 3 or more rested units on your opponent's side at the beginning of their ride phase, you get a tremendous amount more cards there. So yeah, and then 4 Stun Beetle. I run 4 of these just because I know my opponent's saving up their PGs just so they don't get hit by this guy. So running 4 at the most, because at least I can swing 3 times before it's like, okay, fine, I get it. You don't want to get your Vanguard permanently stunned for a whole turn. So basically, should this hit and you're at GB2, swing, attack hits Vanguard, Counter Blast 2, Persona Flip, your opponent cannot re-ride or stand the next turn. So that's a whole drive check that you don't have to worry about. Striding that you don't have to worry about. They do get their, auto effects and act abilities that still go off. That's, like Musketeers can still sack their rear guards to call more. But that's fine, because Darkface is like, that's cool, go ahead and call it. I'll go ahead and rest that Miracle, rest that Augusto, and what have you. So your opponent is pretty much at your mercy should this hit. You just have to make sure that you have 2 Counter Blast available. Alright, that's my completed Darkface Stride build. I will greatly appreciate if this video got some likes. Any subscriptions would also be appreciated. And let's cause some chaos together on the battlefield.